Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
And I'm not sure what you do on a Sunday. Maybe you buy the Sunday papers. Maybe you flick through Stella, which is in the Daily Telly. What an incredible photo of the gorgeous Natalie Bassingthwaighte on the cover.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yesterday. I mean, I loved it because not only is she, and you know, she's gorgeous.
Yep.
I mean, very aesthetically pleasing, but it felt a bit Christmassy. It was all red. It was a very, I thought, pared back cover for what they usually do. There weren't too many headlines. And the headline they went with, which I thought credit where credit's due, was something about Nat Bass speaking her truth.
Okay.
Now, if you did read the article, and of course it's been floating around online in everywhere else since being able to read it in Stella and hear about it in their podcast, Something to Talk About, she talked about the usuals. I mean, she's an incredibly talented performer.
Yep.
People can look forward to seeing her.
Did you reveal the Rogue Traders getting back together?
No. Well, I think they do randomly get back together.
They do gigs?
Yeah, they've been around since 2002. I think Nat joined.
Baby.
So kind of sexy and
rock.
like powerful. I mean, no one can rock a mini skirt like Nat Bass and kind of hold the attention of the crowd. She's actually doing a tribute to George Michael, which they did chat about in the article with the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra come December. I think she's performing with David Campbell.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So that will be amazing to see her there. But then, of course, a lot of the focus around the story was the fact that she has separated from her husband.
He was in the Rogue Traders.
Yes, he was, Cameron.
Yep.
He was the drummer of the Rogue Traders and still is. They've separated during the course of this year, I would imagine. She revealed that, or had to reveal that. We'll get to that in a second, in about August of this year. But she has since found love, and she has found love with a woman.
Okay.
And the quotes were so lovely. The way, I mean, she can light up the room with that smile anyway, but the way she spoke about it was that she's just kind of, you know, she's full of love and it makes her heart happy and everything's great. And although there's been a very big period of change in her life and the family's life, she's happy and she's kind of, you know, now in a position to feel as though she can reveal that information because it's understandable. People love her and she does have a public persona and people want to know a little bit more about her. What I found interesting though, and I guess this is what happens when you are in the public eye, that not only are you going through change in your life, but people are interested in that change. And what she did reveal in the article was that I don't want to say the breakdown of her marriage because she really spoke about her marriage, that it didn't fail. It was actually a great period of their life. They got two wonderful kids. They did heaps of great things together. So it's not a failure at all. But she did say that she was in some ways kind of forced to speak out about things and probably reveal to everybody that there had been a separation before she was ready. I'll let her explain it to you, the way that she received a phone call and was kind of told, you know, we know this information about you and either you say it or we say it.
And this is something that I feel comfortable talking about now, whereas before I probably wasn't, is I wanted to be able to do it in my time when I was ready and speak my truth when I was ready. And then I felt a bit threatened. And I get journalism, like I understand, and I've got, you know, been so supported so much over the years. But I felt this particular time I was backed into a corner a little bit. It was like, will you know, give me a quote or we're going to print the story? It was like, we know that you're in a relationship, a new relationship with a woman. We know who it is. We won't talk about that. But will you give us a quote? And that felt very threatening to me because that was something that I've been private about because it's been new for me and new for my family.
Isn't that bullying?
Well, I think it's so many things. I think it's certainly threatening, and I think that she's handled it very well. You did make the comment during the song when we were talking about this that, well, if someone was to say that to you, maybe your feeling would be, okay, well, if you're going to say it about me, say it, and you're going to look like the bad guy. I think in some ways, though, I think when you have a family, you may think of things differently because you do want things to be presented in a particular light, because it's not just the public reading the information about you. It's your family, it's your kids online.
This isn't the first time this has happened. Who did it happen with not long ago?
I think Rebel
Rebel
Wilson.
And did she in turn attempt to sue, or there was some sort of legal action or a threat because it was out of line to say, unless you tell them, I will?
Yeah.
I remember that moment. It felt low. It felt very low.
Look, I don't think it's fair at all. She does go on to say that she doesn't feel as though she was outed.
I wasn't outed, but the threat was there and it was very overwhelming. My daughter knows everything, Cam knows everything, our families know everything, our best friends know everything. My son hadn't known yet, and it was very personal.
That's what really got to me, I think. I mean, she spoke so beautifully about it. But I think regardless of new relationships and regardless of whether she has found love with a woman, it's just the fact that she's going into a new chapter of her life. There is bringing someone new into the circle of family.
The cheap shot is, if it was with another guy, it wouldn't be as interesting, and therefore it wouldn't drag as many clicks and likes. So therefore they know it's a better sell and it's a bigger sell because it's a woman.
Well, I do think there's an element of truth in that. I did say, though, I was impressed with the fact that Stella went with the headline about Natalie Bass speaking her truth and not going with a headline.
That's true.
Which is floating around online, of course. I'm in love with a woman. I do think that gave it a real level of credibility. But I do think that regardless of woman or not, if you're moving into a relationship and you're in the public eye and people feel as though that's their business to share with the world, what they're not considering is that you actually have a life beyond what people are reading about, and whether that's a man or a woman. Maybe it's a new relationship. It's not time, like all of us start new relationships, and it's not time to tell your children about that. You don't even know if this person's around for 5 minutes or 5 months or 5 years. It's not the business of anybody else, especially when you have kids of school age. It's not the business of a publication to tell your kids what your life is doing and what they mean to you. But a credit to Nat Bass. I did reach out to her last night. I think she's an absolute inspiration, and I'm sure she's really inspired a lot of people over the weekend. You don't have to date a woman to be inspiring, but how wonderful. And I just really think that being open and honest is incredible, and I mean, her children are very lucky to have a mummy that is handling it that way, and it sounds like there's a great dad there too.
Do you need a moment? Do you want
to do what?
Anything you want to reveal about your love life?
I won't be doing it here, mate.
Ritzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.